I'd like to call to order, please, the January 28th. Excuse me, sir.
Yep.
May I ask what that is?
I'm with the Ayer Shirley Tracker.
I'm sorry?
I'm with the Ayer Shirley Tracker.
And,
Newspaper?
okay. And may I ask what you placed on the table?
Just a recorder. We're gonna cover the
Okay.
meeting.
Yeah, that's fine. I just curious what you placed on the table.
Oh,
That's
okay.
all.
Yeah, okay.
It's not ticking.
Yeah, that's it.
As far as I can tell.
And
Do I
thought
lean
we
in,
were
or-
recorded. Fine. I'm sorry, I was interrupted. So I would like to welcome you all, excuse me, to the January 28th, 2020 open session of the Ayer Planning Board. First order of business to approve the agenda. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded to approve the agenda as submitted. Do we have a discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Opposed? Fantastic. First order of business, site plan review for 141 Washington Street, the Ayer Shirley Regional High School. Mark Wetzel, our Ayer Department supervisor. Excuse me, Superintendent Mark, I'm so sorry. Ayer Department of Public Works. Come on up.
Great, thank you. I'll get up and walk you through this project, but basically, this is a collaboration. The Town Department of Public Works was asked by the school superintendent if we could help them design a parking facility. The original school was laid out with, and I don't have the mouse there.
Oh, the mouse. Cut that out.
The mouse.
Oh,
Mouse.
so everybody has a copy.
We have that nice picture up there. So the school was originally laid out, and there are curb cuts
Yeah.
for parking in this area here. So that's where we laid it out. So it's a 60-foot wide by 200-foot parking space. We're using the existing curb cuts. We've got a total of 35 regular parking spaces and 2 handicap parking spaces. It'll primarily be used by students. I think Bill Plunkett from the schools here. I think is that the idea? Student staff. So it'll be mostly during the day. There's plenty of parking there for night meetings and things. As you can see in the aerial photo and along here, there's some nice 12-inch maples planted along here, so those are all going to remain. We're about 60 feet back. The back of the parking lot's about 60 feet back from Washington Street. We're going to tie in the sidewalk that comes down to the school from Washington Street, so we'll have an area there. For stormwater management, we're going to tie into the existing system. We'll install a storm scepter treatment unit, so that'll remove over 90% of the total suspended solids. We're not having any detention. All this flows down to a detention pond down on the corner of Groton Harvard Road, and it has plenty of capacity. And like I said, the original system was designed with some parking in that location. The calculations show about 1 CFS increase in post-development runoff from the existing conditions right now. Did you want to add anything, Bill?
Well, not only for staff and students, but also visitors. Several large events. We've actually had to put cars up there on graduation and the Veterans Day program. If student staff are on the premises and we have anything going on, there's no parking at all. All the spaces at Page Hilltop on that campus will all be filled, and it's just every man for himself. So it's really an overflow for events as well.
I can personally just attest to that. I'm in that parking lot 5 days a week. There was an event just in the gym, at the high school gym on Thursday night, right before I stopped by. And people were parked all alongside roads and all the way up, and it was not in parking spots. We were just fending for ourselves, and that's using both all of the Page Hilltop parking and the high school. So this would be well used.
And just as a side note, as you probably are aware, the school's been looking at redoing athletic fields and
Yeah.
and had a number of different plans, and there's been some votes that haven't been successful. So you really don't have a lot of other spaces out there to do additional parking. You know, we kind of are squeezing fields in where we can, and so this is really an ideal spot. Good access to the school, good access from the road, and like I said, there's very easy to tie into this existing stormwater management system.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Just one question. I just feel I have to raise this question. Will there be any objection on aesthetics? Like, will we anticipate people going, oh my gosh, there was this lovely piece of grass before we saw the high school? I mean, should we anticipate that reaction, or that's a non-issue? You haven't heard anything like that?
I haven't heard anything. I don't know if the school has.
I haven't heard anything. When we had to park there, when we had to put cars up there, we haven't heard anything.
Okay, that's it. Fine.
And wouldn't it be a great day if town meeting could use the spaces too? We get 56 people at that meeting.
That would be nice.
Okay. Yes, please.
I don't know, planning board's pretty popular. We could move over there.
What about site lighting? There's some existing lighting that lights the roadway.
We didn't look
Add
at
lighting to
we
the
didn't
pole.
look at lighting at all, and so I'm not really sure what the light shadow is out there, or if we need to add any lighting.
I guess the only comment I would have is that if whatever equivalent lighting is in the existing parking, this design should match that effort as well. So however the current parking lots are lit, if we make another parking lot, we should at least have equivalent lighting for security and for, the night and so forth. And following up on your comment, I guess it wouldn't be a bad idea to look at additional planting out here if there's a possibility. I don't know if they have a budget for that or how this all works, but, instead of just depending on what is there, maybe we could think about some additional planting around the perimeter of the parking lot to enhance and offset the comment that says we're just ripping it up. I mean, we're all about supposedly more trees and less paving, and certainly going to be some people that comment about that, so.
I would agree with you, but we're all about dropping our children off
I
as
know that, I
easily
understand.
and quickly as we
But
possibly
There are some opportunities for some
And I love a tree.
additional planting
Right.
along this side here. One of the issues with plantings also, though, is, and we went through this when we designed the parking lot, or when the school was designing the school, is that we need to have site visibility too. So
Yeah.
we can't have a hedge here, and then the police can't see when they go through. So so you could have some low bushes or some saplings or something like that.
Yeah, actually, I drove through the site this evening, and the maples are tall enough so they don't actually,
You won't see much anyway.
they don't obscure the sidelines across the parking lot. I mean, you probably don't notice it now, but you can drive across the school, you can see all the way.
Absolutely.
Most of our modern schools, you can see across them. They seem to be fairly barren spaces, and that's because of safety, unfortunately.
Fortunately,
Things have changed.
safety.
Fantastic. Any other questions? I'd like to accept a motion to accept the site plan application as complete. I believe in reading Mark's notes about it. It is a complete application.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept the application for the proposed parking lot at the high school as submitted in the planner's report dated January 23rd.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I'm going to rattle through these pretty quickly. Another recommendation from the town planner is that the planning board find that the site plan criteria of Ayer zoning bylaws, sections 3.5.4A, 0.2, have been satisfied. Accept a motion to that effect, please.
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
And finally, I'd like a motion to vote to approve. And if you look at page 3 of the town planner's notes, I won't read it, so you can reread it, okay? And Mark, I appreciate you taking care of this as quickly as you did.
Are we on C or D?
We're on C. We already made the finding, the motion, so
Okay.
it'll just be to approve the site plan.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the site plan, supported by the finding that the site plan criteria has been satisfied.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Keep going, Mr. Clerk.
Thank goodness.
Yes, I make a motion that we find the site plan criteria of the Ayer zone bylaws, section 3.5.4A2 have been satisfied.
Thank you. A second, please.
Seconded.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
It's approved. You don't find any.
Thank you, Mark.
If you would like to, you may. I'm sorry. If you would like to
discuss
at this point in time.
landscaping in the future.
The only condition that I would have is that it comply with the site lighting requirements on the rest of the site.
Special
motion to that effect.
special conditions.
Yeah, I didn't,
Because
well,
it doesn't show any lighting on the drawing. I don't know.
I think that's up to the school department, yeah. Being a municipal project, I was a little wary about going.
We can take a look at it
Yeah.
and look at what lighting's out there and what additional lighting would cost and how hard it would be to implement.
And I would hope that similar to the Ayer Family Pharmacy, we would look at how the light lines go, because we do have residents across the street over there. And I think
That's,
with residents and also,
That's pretty good.
you know, spill over light into the street causes problems and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's why I'm hesitant.
It won't be.
Okay, great. Do we need to sign anything this evening?
No, it's,
Fantastic.
No, I'll have it next week.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mark. Next on our agenda for this evening is continued public hearing, proposed definitive subdivision off Shaker Road, 23 lots, Daniel and Joe Aho. And Mark, if you want to help you, you want to have some opening comments, Mark? Walk us through what we're going to do.
yep. Okay, at the last meeting, on January 14th, the planning board focused on the site plan for section 9.6, which was for clearing and grading, and also the special permit for the duplex units and the housing. And tonight, we have Jeff Santa Cruz from Weston and Sampson here, who would like to, he's available to discuss the findings of his traffic study. So I recommend to the board that we hear his report first and then take questions and open it up to discussion.
Thank you. Mr. Santa Cruz?
Good evening. For the record, Jeff Santa Cruz with Weston and Sampson. I'm a registered professional engineer in Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So the town requested that we take a look at a traffic study for this property and the proposed development. It's 16 lots, 22 units, 6 duplex and 10 single-family homes. Start off the study, we did some traffic counts, both at the intersection of Littleton and Shaker Road, and we also did an automatic traffic recorder along Shaker Road in between the two 90-degree corners, essentially the one that's at the proposed roadway intersection with the stop signs, and then as you head east, the other corner. What that allowed us to do is get traffic during the whole course of the day, so we can kind of get that curve, not just peak hour, but what happened. We also were able to get some speeds on there, which I'll talk about a little bit as well. We did take a look at what was existing out there, and one of the comments that came back from the audience last time was that this time of year the golf course is not in. And even though we seasonally adjust based on Mass Highway data, that we weren't really capturing what would happen when the golf course is busy. So we took a look at the size of the golf course. There's a 225-seat banquet facility, and it's an 18-hole golf course. And we took a look at some trip generation for that to kind of apply in addition to the existing data that we collected to kind of give a worst-case summer feel. What we took a look at is two different things. We looked at if we took the 225-seat facility and said every person drives themselves, what happens? Which I think we all agree on a bank facility would probably not be the case. You get a lot of people coming together, but to kind of be conservative, worse the worse. And then we looked at if a golf tournament occurred, which ends up being, instead of 2 foursomes per hole, it's 4 foursomes, which basically acts like 2 18-hole golf courses in terms of total people. And we found that to actually be the worst case because it occurs in the AM hour and the PM hour, where a banquet facility is going to start later in the morning. It's going to miss that kind of AM peak when people are going to work. You may or may not hit the PM peak depending on what time the event starts and ends. But golf tournaments tend to be morning early and they go into the late afternoon. So we added that to the existing counts that we found to kind of give us the existing conditions, as we called it, for lack of a better term, so that we were looking at what would happen during the summer month. Then, as I said, we took a look at trip generation for the site based on ITE does not have a real good rate for duplexes. So to be conservative, we looked at each side of the duplex as a single-family home. This essentially would function in that similar capacity. Sometimes it's a smaller family unit, but for the most part, again, trying to be a little more conservative. So that's how we came to the 22 total units, the 10 single-family home and the 6 duplex, which end up being 12 units.
Remember reading the comment, thank you.
So the other thing we did is we took a look at, like I said, traffic speeds out there to see what was happening along both Littleton Road, where it intersects Shaker, as well as along Shaker, just to get a feel. Normally, we'd be looking at the speed specifically right at the proposed location of the roadway, but because it is an existing stop sign, it's hard. Because theoretically, people are supposed to be stopping. So that's why we put the ATR on the straight portion, because we felt that's where people are accelerating away from the stop sign, coming toward it. That'd probably give us the best feeling of what the speeds would be. What we found is on Shaker Road, it's posted as 25. The 85th percentile, which is roughly what 85% of people are riding on the road, was 31 northbound and 32 southbound, which I don't find very surprising for that roadway, unless on the straightaways. Corners, not so much. On Littleton Road, it's posted as 45, and what we found was 50 eastbound and 51 westbound. Kind of that same fluctuation. We use the speeds to calculate our sight distance requirements based on AASHTO standards. In looking at it, the proposed roadway, again, is a little odd. Because it's going to create the third leg of a stop-controlled intersection, theoretically, you don't have to worry about somebody zipping by you. The person coming at you is going to stop. You're going to see them at the stop sign. But there again, I always err a little bit on the side of caution. I assumed if somebody wasn't going to stop, do you have enough time to see them and pull out from your stop control? And if they were not to stop, do you have enough time? What we found is that the proposed roadway, it meets both the minimum and the desirable. The minimum is based on the posted speed limit for both stopping and intersection type distance, and the desirable is based on that 31, 32 mile per hour that we found. That meets it. There were a little bit of brush and trees that we requested that be removed along the site frontage as you look to the left from the site, because they did impede it.
Basically looking south.
Correct.
Thank you.
And those have been on the site plan were removed, and the landscaping that they proposed, I got the site plan and I was able to take a look. Nothing proposed impedes the future. What we did find was up at Littleton Road, that looking west, we meet the minimum, but we don't meet the desirable. And that's because of that large oak tree.
It's also, the road's also
The road's not as bad on the crown. It was more, you kind of have to creep quite a ways out to kind of feel yourself past that tree. As I said, it does meet the minimum. Looking to the other direction east, it meets both the minimum and the desirable. So one of the recommendations we made is, if it's possible to work with that landowner and at the board's discretion to consider removing the tree, that might make it safer at that location from a sight distance perspective. We did coordinate with the police department to get crashes at that location as well as at the stop sign location. There were only 3 at that location, and based on our evaluation, none of them were a result of sight distance issues.
And just, empirically, You can see before you get to the tree.
You see both
You
sides.
can see an awful lot of that
You
road
do?
before you get to the tree.
It's
You
kinda
can
like-
actually see over the crown of the hill, so.
Yeah, and my understanding is you guys are also talking with Mass DOT about changing some speed limits out there, so,
We met with
No.
the district traffic engineer, and they basically said, good luck.
okay. Oh, I had heard that, so I was just gonna say, if you, if that
Thank you for
happens,
sticking around, Mark.
We would like to extend it to a 35 down as far as Bennett's Crossing, but they basically said it would be really, because there's not a lot of accident there.
right, and because the cars are traveling at the speed they're comfortable with on the road, that 85th. At the stop sign intersection, there were also 3 accident crashes, excuse me.
The entrance into Shaker Pond?
Correct.
Shaker Pond?
Yep. None of those appear to be, 2 of them were, one was the town snowplow that ran off the road and kind of tipped over when it went off. One was a car that had very similar, according to the police department, it went off the road, broke an axle, when it tried to come back on the road, that's when it hit the barrier and had the rollover. And then the other one was also an off-the-road sort of incident. So it wasn't rear end type of incident, it wasn't a cross movement, it did not involve multiple vehicles. So there again, I don't really see that there's a crash issue there. One thing that I did recommend that when I looked at the site plan was work with the developer and to try and tie the guardrail back in around that corner because it's all broken up and ripped up. That way, if in a future case someone's to leave the road, at least they're not going to end up in the pond.
Hopefully, yeah.
So,
Humans surprise us every day.
you know, you always design for the worst case and you hope it never happens, you know. But I think considering how broken it up it is, you've got a blunt end out there, it reduces the risk of more serious injury if there's something there to try and hold them onto the roadway.
Also gives them something to see as they come up the road.
Right. Yeah, it gives you a visual reference of a corner,
Which is helpful. It is.
So we did the analysis of the AM and PM peak hours at both Littleton Road, Shaker Road intersection, and the proposed roadway in both a no-build condition and a build in the future. And what we found was there's very little change in the level of service at Shaker Road and Littleton Road. It's predominantly the PM peak hour when all the golf traffic kind of comes out. And we're assuming it's all coming out in that peak hour, but in reality it could be staggered. So if I tell you you're seeing, you know, 180 feet of queue, you're all gonna look at me and go, really? So you're telling me I'm gonna see like 8 cars there? You'd probably say, I've never seen it. And that could be how we added the actual trips from the golf all at one time. So like I said, there was basically a 1-car queue difference between no build and build. And there was a slight change into the delay, no change in level of service. At the proposed roadway intersection, there's no change, or so insignificant as to not cause an issue. When we were here last time, one of the other things that came up from the public was we assumed a certain amount of traffic, roughly 90% going back up to the Littleton intersection and 10 heading south. There was concern that maybe that wasn't going to be the true distribution. So we did do a sensitivity analysis where we basically said everyone is going to come from the south and go to the south from the site, and we still had no significant change in level of service or operation of the intersection. One of the last things we were asked to take a look at was more of a qualitative look at the rotary. Mark,
You're talking about, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mark was able to provide me with the traffic study that was done for the dispensary earlier this year. So it was really nice to be able to look at that because I could look at their crash analysis, I could look at their operational analysis. And when I looked at the amount of traffic we actually send that way, and when you look at how much traffic's in there, the percentage of what's being added is so small that I don't truly believe this development is going to have a significant impact on the operations of that. The other thing too is traffic fluctuates day to day.
Yeah.
So that little bit of change, or if it's 1 or 2 cars, 3 cars, whatever it is, basically gets lost in that background day to day. And it's my understanding there's also a future study to make some improvements at that location by, I think it's Mass DOT.
Mark, you anything?
They were talking about doing some striping out there to change some of the traffic lane patterns.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're gonna do that. They've been trying it at different.
It functions,
rotaries.
it actually, as a rotary, I think, well, I'm a layman, but that rotary functions very
But it's
well.
functioned pretty well.
It does.
Especially with the-
The thing I think is it's just a lot of wide, unmarked pavement.
I think
So-
that's what they were
Which
gonna
is
do, was
what
skinny
they're
it
gonna-
down.
Yeah, make it look a little more like
What worried me is they did restripe a rotary in my town, and I get confused every time I go through it. Yeah, because they double lane.
Yeah, if you don't double lane, if you just kind of provide wider shoulders and
The exit coming south on 128 that goes into REI is when they restrict that thing. I couldn't get around it. 55-year-old man, confused.
Always in the wrong way.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's pretty much the summary of the results of the traffic study.
Thank you.
I would take any questions you may have.
That's the board, please.
So at the last meeting, the owner of the golf course, Mr. Curtis, submitted a letter and made a presentation regarding his concerns about the safety of truck traffic on the easement road. And I believe that we said that we would send that letter to you for your comment. Was there anything in that letter or any other comments from Mr. Curtis that would lead you to modify your findings or that were incorporated in the presentation you just made to us?
I actually did assume in my existing traffic, 10 trucks per day,
Mhm.
which works out to about what he was saying.
Roughly
He
what he
said
was saying.
70, 80 a week. So that was. What I also assumed was 3 trucks entering in the AM peak hour and 3 in the PM peak hour, which may or may not be the case because the facility may not be open for deliveries at 8 AM, or they might get there before everything is open. So I had to make some assumptions. So rather than saying none and they don't have any impact, I put some in there so that we could try and see an impact. In terms of traveling through the neighborhood, if the speed is there, if it's posted, it is a dead-end cul-de-sac, so it's not like a continuous street where the trucks are going to be accelerating as they continue on. There's a stop sign on one end and a corner on the other, and if it is signed as far as the entrance, you know, where you make the turn and go up in, I believe, I mean, you've got sidewalks, you've got some things, so you're not going to necessarily have, you know, you've got a wide enough street so that if there's a car parked or something, a vehicle can get around. I don't really see that as a major concern.
Yeah, thank you.
And, excuse me for a second, Mr. Boardman, what's the actual distance from the entranceway to the back of the property, straight line? Can you just guess it for me?
The whole property?
The whole property, just,
Just
Like
from,
1,200 feet.
yeah, it's 11 something.
I'm not gonna touch it, sorry guys.
That's
Yeah, it's like 1,200 feet.
That's
Yeah.
usually my mistake, I usually touch it.
And I think the roadway is 780 to the beginning of the cul-de-sac,
Yeah.
and then there's the circle.
Yeah, and you've got a fully loaded 53-foot trailer. Takes a lot to get it going again.
Starting off a stop sign.
Yeah.
It's not like they can shoot straight across into the development.
Their turn is at 600 feet, going to the drawings.
Okay.
Fit the break off to the right, I'll call it.
So it's gotta go a couple of football fields.
I think it'll be self-monitoring too. If somebody starts to see vehicles that are an issue, I'm sure the town or the golf course is going to hear about it in short order. Be honest with you, you know, it usually ends up being worse. FedEx and UPS.
Right.
They're smaller.
Are
They go a lot
smaller,
faster.
lighter,
Because
and they
they're,
gotta,
you know,
and they gotta get a lot done.
right, exactly. And so those are the ones that usually when people tell me, oh, we have trucks speeding through our neighborhood, when we go out and we observe it, those are the ones. It's not the bigger trucks usually.
The new small Amazon Sprinter types, they're almost all damaged on the rear. I see them all the time in the rear,
That's from backing up to the dock.
back up to the dock. They're all damaged the same way, yeah, exactly. Okay, do we have the questions from the board? Any questions from the assembled group? Thank you very much for
Thank you.
making it to our meeting. We appreciate all
Yes,
the
I
work.
apologize for the last meeting. Thank you for being very
Perfectly fine.
understanding.
Perfectly fine, thank you very much. What's next, Mark?
I expected some discussion with that.
I just have one comment.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
ahead, please.
On this about the guardrail. John, So on your drawings, you do have a note that says, replace existing section of guardrail, meaning at the front entrance.
Yeah, off the site there at the corner was the
Right,
intent.
I think a better note would be replace any damaged sections of guardrail to meet the DPW, Department of Public Works requirements or something like that too. They're not just putting one section in, but you're looking at the first, might be 30 or 40 feet. Whatever it
There's
is.
an L there of probably 20 by 30 or something that's basically
You gotta
hanging on by
replace
a
whatever's,
thread.
whatever's broken.
Yeah, one of the issues there, and I'm not positive where the guardrails are damaged and things, but we do have to get in there to do some beaver maintenance.
I was just gonna ask about that, clearing the culvert there too, right? You have to bring that pole
We
through and all that?
we clear the culvert going under Shaker Road,
Right.
and then
This one.
where the Snake Hill Road extension comes down,
Yeah,
there
Yeah.
used to be a culvert
it's broken up.
in there that we, it got
Right
so
here.
jammed up, we couldn't
Oh,
open it
that-
up, so
okay.
we actually yanked it out.
Is 12.5 feet wide enough for you to get through it?
It's a weird angle, so I'd probably have to have my foreman, who does this on a regular basis, take a look at it and see where.
The reason I'm asking is you could look at taking one post out of the middle,
Yeah.
double nesting your rail between the two, and then those two sections of rail could be removed to gain access and then put back so you're not.
Yeah, that's what I would guess is we could.
There's an opening there now.
Yeah,
That's how you get in and out. It's just to the right of the opening. On this view, there's the L, but it looked like the snowplows have almost pushed it over. I just called out to replace the L section that was there, but we can, obviously, it's only a couple of sections of guardrail. We'll do what's needed.
Looks like they let me have a loader in there. I was pushing back a pile.
Yep.
I did that on a piece of guardrail recently. It's amazing how fast this stuff comes out of the ground. Yes.
Kathleen Shields, Shaker. I just wanted to make one quick comment. So I'm right on the corner there, and I did notice about 3 weeks ago that my stop sign is no longer there. And
I saw that too.
I don't know if anybody knows what happened to the
Did-
stop
Did
sign.
you get
the
hit by
one
a plow?
at the corner there, or
Yeah.
the one, because I know someone knocked down the one up on,
Here, here's
on
a,
Inside
Littleton
corner.
Road. That one was,
Yeah,
someone
the
did
one
that
right
one
there,
pretty
but,
quickly.
there was no evidence of anyone actually coming up and knocking it over. It was just gone one day.
I'll have.
The first snowstorm, it got knocked over, the very first snowstorm.
We were waiting
It
until.
wasn't there after that.
Until the snow melted.
It went down after the storm.
Things softened up, because we do have to replace the one, someone
Okay.
knocked the one
Yeah.
down up at Littleton Road, so I'll put that
Yeah,
on the
thank
list.
you. Just curious.
other questions?
Okay, while we're on this subject, I just wanted to, so we don't leave anything unturned,
Yeah.
people's opinion about this, the tree here. Yeah, I've driven a few times at different times of the day and looking. To me, it doesn't seem like it's a sight distance problem, because you can, what you mentioned, you can see to the west even before you get to the intersection. But if we're gonna make that a condition or investigate taking that tree down, we should set that in motion.
I would ask the members of the board to go on a field trip. Come up Shaker Road into that intersection a few times and take a look at it so you can make an informed decision.
Having done that, the problem that I encountered, and I talked to Mr. Santa Cruz about this, is we don't know who the property owner is.
Yeah.
It's very possible that it's sitting in the state right away.
Right.
And not on the land of the house
Of
on the
this
front.
house.
Yeah.
And based on Mark's comments about the state, I'm not sure whatever your permission to touch that tree.
And I do believe it is a fairly
So we have to get.
It's a nice old tree. The red-tailed hawk landed at it. When it was going by, so it's like, that was a sign.
We didn't jump on you that hard, did we?
No.
But I would ask the board members, when you get a moment, to, I mean, I travel out that road frequently, handful of times a week, during the week, and when I'm riding my bike, I'm on that road probably a handful of times a month. So, I've figured out how to see through all the bushes and trees all the way up. Different times of the year. Thank you. Okay. Moving right along.
Okay, otherwise,
I'm sorry?
oh,
Would the applicant have a comment on this or not?
You actually, Mr. Diskin, I think you expressed my concern right off the bat. If it's on private property, I would object to a condition that requires us to remove it, because I can. And if it's in Mass DOT, right of way, again, we're more than willing to help if we can, but a condition that would require us to do it is something that we can't guarantee would happen, and therefore we can't accept it.
And I'm sorry, and what you didn't see is I saw Mr. Boardman's concern as you brought it up. And I thought about the sidewalk at an earlier project that we saw. Something's out of our control.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, thanks. We'll do a little research on it, but I, for one, would hate to see it be removed.
Okay, new development is Superintendent Wetzel issued a letter to the applicant regarding some changes to the plan that DPW would like to see. This just came in today, and so we would take this up at our next meeting. And I believe, yeah.
I only got a chance to look at it very briefly this evening. I don't know, Mark, do you have time at the end of this week? I could come by your office and sit down and go through it point by point?
I'm at a meeting
I'll get you
Friday, Thursday, Friday afternoon there.
Okay. Well, that's probably the easiest way is to put the plan down and scribble out how we want it to look at the end and make those changes and bring them back to the board.
Thank you very much. I'm just looking at it for the first time right now also, so we will digest it and see if there's anything we have. But thank you very much for doing this, Mark.
Right, well,
Appreciate it.
since we have Superintendent Wetzel here now, I just wanted to ask him if he has anything in here that he would like to point out since he's here before we...
It's a test.
Anything that, you don't want us to forget.
There's a lot of little detail things. A couple things on the, I know that you talked about putting slope granite curbing. And I think we require vertical at the entrance.
Okay.
But
And then you
I would prefer to
transition.
have all along here slope granite because the plows just rip up the berm. They last about 2 seasons.
Yep.
So sloped granite around the cul-de-sac?
Yeah.
That was on the plan already.
There's some other minor things. For instance, there's a street light in the snow storage easement that I know my guys will snow against and will follow over.
Okay.
I'm assuming that eventually this is going to be a town road. Is that the idea?
Yes. One of the discussions is providing 2 parking spaces there with a mailbox. And yeah, there was a street light here that could be flipped to the other side if that makes it better. I mean, there's some area there, but the intent is also maybe to use that for parking and mailboxes, and then you would plow around that. And maybe the street light goes right next to the mailbox, so it's only one target.
Yeah, if you ever watch these guys plow, they're probably going to put most of the snow. And you're doing cul-de-sacs, gets a little tricky.
Yeah.
So we'll probably put some of those in there. The other thing that I know we like to loop our water mains, so the plan showed the water main coming down, going up, turning around and coming back. I don't like that design. I just didn't have a short dead end with a hydrant at the end.
Okay. I think that was closer to what we had originally, but that's easy to change.
With a provision, and with some sort of a paper easement, if we ever could get permission to extend that through.
Maybe through here.
Yeah, wherever it works, where it doesn't get in the drain.
Right.
Just so that it's laid out and people know it's there.
Okay.
And,
There was a comment about driveways.
yeah, that was something Dan picked up. So I think he said there was 20-foot driveways, and I think that's.
I don't even know what your quote shared driveway regs are now.
It's 3E.
Right, that's the comment, but I don't know. I know we're redoing the subdivision regs, and I know we can kind of go back and forth with shared driveways, and so, I mean, we don't really have an issue with
I
that.
don't have an issue.
Yeah. And the 24 wides are okay with you guys, with the DPWs.
Yeah.
I put that in because in the original letters from the fire department, they said they wanted 20 feet on any shared driveways.
There we go.
So,
No, that's, yeah.
You've been a blind squirrel.
let's some sewer and some water details that we can sit down and poke out.
Yeah, yeah.
And I owe you an updated report from FR Mahoney on the,
Okay.
I owe you that, I know I do, but I didn't want to have them redo it until we got some comments on this particular layout.
Now, a couple things not necessarily related to the actual subdivision layout. One is, you know, I know there's a right of way that goes up to the golf course.
Yep.
I didn't know what the plan for access during construction, if that's an issue.
I put a note on the plan that said they have to maintain access at all times. How they actually do that is going to depend day to day on what they're building that day. So if they're running water line down the center of the road, they're going to need to provide access of equal level to what's there to the right of where they're working. So I think we talked about that at the last meeting. The construction entrance will probably start where the road is now, but when they're running utilities up the road, they probably end up having to put a construction entrance 40 feet up slope and almost build a gravel road running down where the adjacent to, parallel to where the existing road is now. So there'll be some shuffle, but they've got to get trucks in and out too to do the construction. So hopefully everybody can work together and get along and make it work.
And then the other thing I like to do when I look at these things is solve other problems in town. You're now the proud owner of a dam. And we like to have our dams, and actually it's a state law, you have to do a dam, phase 1 dam.
Do they own a dam, or is it off their
I don't think it's been done.
Oh, it is?
I saw that in your letter. I hadn't come across that yet, so we'll look
not
at
a
it.
huge deal, but, and I don't think that's a high hazard dam, but it should probably have an inspection and see if there's a.
It's not even on the state list, I know that. Doesn't even make the list, so.
Is there any others in town that do that, get it certified, or?
Well, the ones the town owns,
So-
do.
Who doesn't? In other words,
Well, less than Sampson has ours.
firm does.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, that's not a lot of money.
Yes, but it's.
You okay? I'm kidding, I agree. Contact.
I know there are some issues with beavers building up on top of that too.
Thank you, Mark.
Did you have any comments or input on we had given our interest in having the town take over that open space as conservation land with the CR?
He's not
I didn't
in
know if you had any input on that.
No, I didn't have that.
Okay, just asking,
No,
No, he gets a dodge up over.
don't go there.
throwing it out there.
One thing that I'm not positive what has been talked about is the maintenance of the stormwater management system, if that is going to be town responsibility or an HOA.
It's a really good question, and maybe it goes hand in glove with the conservation restriction question also. One of the bridges yet to be crossed is, will there be an HOA or not? And we had a presentation from the Conservation Commission at our last meeting talking about conservation restrictions and easements, and I know you and I have had a brief conversation about it, and that has not yet settled itself out. So,
Didn't the last approval that we did for John Carroll Reserve have conditions in there for the maintenance of the stormwater, that we found a way to put language in there for that?
Yeah.
So we'll do the same here.
exactly.
And who was responsible in the John Carroll?
I think it was, might have been enough, I can't, I'm not gonna rattle it off.
I believe it was,
We'll get you the answer.
Yeah, we'll
yeah.
get the
Let's
answer. But it'll
get
be in
the
our
answer
final
correct, 'cause it's in the final
conditions.
conditions for that also.
Yeah.
Your concern, Mark? I mean,
Well,
this is back to work, and I
instead
want to
of
make sure
jump
it's
back and
done.
forth on how we want to do this, what my concern is that if it's a town's responsibility, we take care of it. If it's a developer's or homeowner's responsibility, we're never really sure who's managing it. We're not getting reports. So it's kind of a burden on us to bug the HOA to get it done.
Yeah.
So we originally, when we formed the stormwater utility, which we're going to revise or revamp soon, the idea was if we had a stormwater utility, then the utility would manage it and bill the HOA.
I believe that's a conversation we had many years ago when I started with the board, so yeah.
I think what I would prefer is either we do it that way or we have a maintenance fund or bond or something like
Sure we did
that.
that.
Yes, we did.
It's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
On the side.
It's a very important, it's an important thing to be doing for not a lot of money, and
Yeah.
it gets ignored enough years, it becomes a real problem.
Right.
Because these are, as we were talking about storm scepters earlier, they need to be maintained.
They work great as long as
They're fantastic, they do a great job, but they need to be maintained, so. Okay, thank you.
Well, unless there's something else, the planning board should continue this discussion on the public hearing to the next meeting.
Do you actually, Mr. Diskin, do you want to speak about the work you've done on conservation restrictions
Anything else we need to do?
as part of this conversation?
No, just.
Please, if you don't
I
mind.
was wondering if the applicant had anything to add to the meeting before we just moved on.
Yeah, that's what
We
we should ask if
can,
you have
I'm just
anything else.
trying to figure out where we stand, okay?
That's it.
Mr. Boardman and Mr. Aho, do you have anything else you would like to add at this point?
Nope, I just,
Okay. Our last meeting, we're gonna stay on the topic of this development right now, and at our last meeting, we had a presentation from the Conservation Commission talking about conservation restrictions, conservation easements. Since that, each one of us has gone off and done a little bit of work. Mr. Diskin actually got a little more work done on it today, and I was gonna ask him to kind of report back to us. Okay?
Okay.
So we'll take a few minutes for that. Mr. Diskin.
Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, or after the last meeting, I talked to Jeff, and he sent a note to all you that I was going to reach out to the organization that I believe does the most conservation restrictions in the state, and that's the Trustees of Reservations. And I made a telephone call last week, and they actually got back to me today, which is pretty amazing. Two people got back to me. A gentleman by the name of David Santamena, I think is the gentleman, he's from Boston, and he is, I believe, the attorney that's in charge of all the conservation restrictions. And more importantly, in Leominster, where I went today and visited with Sally Nazer, who is the local conservation restriction program manager, and I'll give her a card tomorrow because I have it on the card. And the long and the short of it is I wanted to reach out to them because of their knowledge, because I thought we were left the last meeting somewhat confused. I think we've probably read more since then. And I've asked them if they would be willing to come to the next meeting of our planning board, and they've all said one of them could come. And the reason for that was I wanted to get a third-party opinion outside of this board and outside of our own conservation board, just to give us either a conservation restriction 101, or by then we might actually all know more, we could ask more questions. The long and the short of it is that there is a lot of flexibility here. They have 393 conservation restrictions that they monitor and maintain around the state of Massachusetts, most of which are large properties, very nice properties. But towns all around us have these in place. Concord, she said, has about 20 of them, and a number of different towns have these restrictions all around. So I think, in brief, that what I found out was this is very manageable, and it's not unusual that the best setup is a home for something of this scale, a homeowners association with the conservation restriction being held by the town. The other side of it is the funding mechanism, which we heard a lot about at the last meeting. I raised that question separately, and I believe there is a funding mechanism in place right now, and I think it's through the Conservation Trust that we voted at the town meeting a couple of years ago. So the only language that needs to be addressed or determined is, this is my own opinion now, okay, potentially that the Conservation Trust has the ability to use funds like this for conservation, management of conservation plans that are in this type of restriction, a conservation restriction. I spoke for half an hour with the first gentleman, and I spoke for half an hour with her, so the total was an hour. But I won't go into everything we talked about. But the long and the short of it is, most likely, I have to send him an email tomorrow thanking them for meeting with me and asking them about the February 11th date, both of which they said one of them will be available, but I do want to do it formally and let them know that. And then she'll come in with, I don't know how many she said she's got that she's done around the state, and try to simplify this for us as much as possible and drill it down to where we think we can make a decision. My goal is for us to be able to be informed enough to make a decision quickly that says this is how we want to proceed. So I told her a lot about the way we had done things, and I'll tell you something about our zoning bylaw changes that we made. She came right back with me with the same concerns that Joanne had expressed about, the monitoring and around behind houses and that kind of thing, small lots. And the fact that we had something that was very important in the discussion, somehow I remembered it, was the fact that our bylaws contain the requirement for the conservation analysis. That seemed to really put a different twist on everything, because she went into her files and pulled out plans from other towns where a lot of crazy shapes were put in place just to make the percentage requirement, but they didn't have the conservation analysis as part of it. So they were setting aside small strips like 20 feet wide, or you could make, an engineer could make a drawing to make the 50% requirement work. Without that first step, where the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board work together with a conservation specialist like Oxbow, who goes out and breaks that down, we should have already taken a big step to put the right land in play that we want to save. And the other thing that I learned today that I made a quite important point of writing down was, and this comes out of that MVP conversation and you know, those meetings we went to, is the word resource protection. And that means any kind of resource. So we as a board may not agree if a bird, a hawk in a tree, or a tree itself, or a wetland is more important. But I think as a town, we have to keep in mind that any resource that we can protect, in fact, in the way of open space, puts a whole different look at it. So she mentioned that, keep that in mind, you're trying to protect the resource, whatever it might be, not just a wetland or just a wooded land. It could be a field, it could be whatever the case may be. I learned a lot in half an hour.
Yeah.
So if I understand you correctly, and if we think in that broader sense of resource, then it makes it less important if the land pieces are contiguous, right? Because there are other resources that can benefit from these protected lands.
But the fact that we start with that conservation analysis and we determine between the planning board and conservation the so-called priority location. We've already taken a huge step.
That's a good thing.
It's a big step that wasn't, as she pointed out to me, was not necessarily happening elsewhere. So the model we used, the way we built it, we may have been neophytes when we did it, but it turns out we may have in place the right mechanisms to do this. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write them an email, thank them, and ask them, one of them to come to the next meeting, and hopefully that'll give us another look at things. If everyone agrees with that.
And I know you're all crazy, but I had this very interesting conversation with Kent today about this. And it occurs to me that if you have any questions at all about it that we could prime the pump with. My guess is that they're going to come and make a presentation to us, and they're going to use 15 minutes of our time. Let's use their 15 minutes to the best of our ability. If there are questions, and other people, if you got questions, let's give Mark. If Ken, you want to take the lead on it, or if we can ask Mark to do it, but let's get them to us. So we use the time very, very well. Use it wisely.
When you go on the website, this is the, you know, on the website they have this brochure and I don't know, JPEG or PDF or some kind of format. You flip it. This is the hard copy, which to me is easier to use. So we can get multiple copies of that.
I just want to get the name so I can look it up.
I would also ask you, Mark, if you wouldn't mind, please let Joanne and the Conservation Commission know that this is going to happen, and let's invite them in the true spirit of cooperation. I'd like to get them join us if they want to. So that, because I know there's been a lot of talk between the last meeting and this meeting.
Right.
And I think we all started in different places in this conversation. And I'd like to get us all to the same spot.
If I can get more, we can pick up more of these and each have copies.
We can ask them to bring it.
It's got a lot of the questions are up there in that, so.
Yeah, I'll reach out to her right away, and we'll talk, you know, offline about other details, and so I can call her informed by what you talked about. And,
Fantastic, thank you. Yes, I'm sorry.
I just want to make a comment on conservation restrictions. I was on Conservation Commission in my town, and we did a couple of conservation restrictions as part of either a single-family home or development. Beware, it's a very long and frustrating process.
Yes. And I talked about that today, but I talked about that with them, and this gentleman who's the, you know, David, I said, you know, my understanding is this could take a year to 2 years, so we go on those lines. He said that there had been a big backup. He actually said the process has improved. Said there was a big backup that was straightened out administratively in the envelope.
You think you're all done, you think you got everything all I's dotted, T's crossed, you send it in, and they come back with something totally different that then the property owner doesn't want to agree with, or he has to send it to his lawyer, and it goes back and forth a lot, and it takes a long time.
And that's the reason I want to get it off our plate, so we can get it to the people who have to do it. Basically.
Thank you.
Can you take another?
Yes, I'm sorry, another question?
Yes.
Yes, I just want to make one comment, which I know you have heard before, and I appreciate your time and attention to this matter. But if you don't mind, I want to approach the board here. So I'm located right here on the corner of Shaker Road, as you're aware. The subdivision plan is showing that the town line between Harvard and Ayer is here, and that's along a fence that was erected in 2019. The problem with that is that my deed, my registered deed, and I've lived there for 30 years.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I believe
I'm sorry,
we
Mrs.
discussed
Shields, we've had her, is there any, I would ask the question if you,
Yes, there
any
is
new
some-
information?
Yeah, there is some new information.
Would you please just jump to the new
The new
information?
information that I have is that I looked at the zoning, or the planning board submission process, and it's required that the planning board submit data on abutting properties 100 feet from the existing subdivision plan. And that has not been done. If that had been done, it would have shown that the town line is not here, but it's actually about 40 feet
So,
northward on Shaker Road.
The locus is right.
This was also something that was decided in 2004 by the state of Massachusetts, when I had an abatement of my taxes because Ayer did the same thing, and they used GIS data to show that my house had moved from the town of Harvard to the town of Ayer.
excuse me, Mrs. Shields, not to belabor the point, the planning board has been, we've been brought a plan that is a stamped plan from a licensed engineer. We've been instructed that we need to act upon that plan. The avenue for you to argue the boundaries is not the planning board.
Are you supposed to have the data on?
Do you have a copy of the letter from me?
That's what I found on the website, so I was just curious about it.
I left all that upstairs.
Thank you, okay.
It seems like it's of essence to actually
You want to comment on the locus plan that's included in your drawing?
I don't remember what the wording of the zoning bylaw is in terms of offset to 100 feet. I don't know if Mark has forwarded any additional information to Mrs. Shields regarding the boundary that was, information that was given to us from the state.
The information on this.
No, we spent quite a bit of time last meeting discussing this.
Yeah.
And,
So we are at a point, Mrs. Shields, where the planning board of Ayer is satisfied that the plans that have been brought to us represent the town boundaries appropriately. We have gone to town council and asked, and the town council has advised us that we should continue to work with the plans as they are. If you have an issue with the boundary of the two towns between Harvard and Ayer, planning board is not the avenue for you to seek relief.
the Board
Even
of
though this
Selectmen.
board has signed plans throughout the decades before this, using the town line where it exists on my deed, that's not a concern to the planning board, but they actually were contradicting all the other plans that they've ever signed.
It's outside of the purview of the planning board to make that
To
decision.
which I say, point of order, can we
Yes.
please move forward?
Yes, so you have to seek relief through other avenues. Please.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. It's a very disappointing process.
Anything further? Continuation, if we have
Yeah,
nothing further.
continue to February 11th,
Thank you.
2020.
You guys will get together and talk, DPW and Mr. Borton, fantastic. Beginning to 11.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Need a motion.
I'm sorry?
Need a motion to continue.
Sorry, may I have a motion to
Can I try
continue,
it?
please?
Okay, let's see, I'm getting brave. Motion to continue the public hearing of the proposed definitive subdivision of Shaker Road, 23 lots? 22 lots. 22 lots, to the February 11th meeting.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded.
Very good.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
I think we're all set.
Opposed? None, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks very
Thank
much,
you.
Jeff.
Give me a shout, let me know when's a good time, I'll make sure I can get there Thursday. As long as, you know, the coronavirus doesn't get here, or the earthquakes or whatever.
So, next on our agenda, if I can find the agenda.
That's the town planner over.
Town planner announcements. Town planner update announcements.
Okay.
What's up, Mark?
The update is, a few of us are meeting on Thursday to go over the draft subdivision regs, which are getting there. And so I'm still,
It's the only thing that can get there without having a meeting. It's pretty incredible. You never have a meeting, but it's getting there. So you better comment on how it's getting there.
no, it's getting there by us working on it. And I you know.
The next meeting on the subdivision plan will be on Thursday.
Yeah, right.
Take a step back from the edge, please.
Yeah. Subdivision regs, I should say.
I want to say thank you to you all for maintaining decorum for that last few minutes. Go ahead.
I just want to I have to insert something quickly on the subdivision regs, and I apologize, I could bring this up under old business.
Right.
But I was looking at it again this morning, so Mark and I, a consultant that Mark brought in, are going to meet Thursday with Dan Schill. And it's, as you said, it's been moving along. It's just not a joke. But one thing that dawned on me is that, and this again goes back with some previous experience that I've had that Sylvia not talked about tonight. In our subdivision regulations, I was going to bring this up with me Thursday, but I want the board to hear. Okay. There's a component in that we talk about common driveways. But when we talk about the common driveways in that regard, it's within the subdivision.
Right.
We actually need a separate look at common driveways that's part of either our bylaw or some regulation that we have. I don't think I ever mentioned that to you before.
No.
We talked to, we got wound up in
I'd
it.
like to look at the common drive. I'm not jumping the queue here, but let's see what you end up with the common driveways in the subdivision bylaw.
That's easy. That's going to be easy.
Okay,
Because-
and I don't want to get into the discussion, I don't want to, the making of sausage right now is not what we want to do, but can that be used part and parcel in other applications?
Can't. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because what really is going to happen is that someone's going to own a big piece of land. They're going to put a couple, 3 A&Rs out there, and they're going to have a long common driveway, and that's going to be the discussion.
But-
Yeah, that's when you have,
There'll be something.
Yes.
Well, we need-
that's when you have a thing about contiguous lots.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you can have a common
Spaghetti.
driveway within a subdivision, which is what we're talking about. You can have a common driveway on any pair of lots, or 3 lots, out in the world someplace.
But I would take you back to, and you'd have to remind me what the zoning was like.
Yeah, I
But
thought frontage.
when you have a large lot and you want to maintain a large portion of it
Yeah.
as high value conservation or open space,
might
you
wanna-
sometimes say that long driveway is perfectly fine. It's not a
Right.
road, because it serves only 3 or 4 dwellings,
Right.
so it doesn't have to be built to road standards. It can be just a beefed up driveway.
Right.
So I would make sure that when we get to that point, we discuss that, because, I mean, there may be.
Well, I can tell you.
I can think of one place where that would be an interesting thing to do now, but go ahead.
All I'm saying is that when Mark and I and Dan concentrated so hard on the common driveway of the, we were thinking more or less it's within a subdivision.
Right.
We never got it outside the subdivision, so that's what I want the board,
okay.
I want Mark to bring up at a later date, that we
Fantastic.
look at common driveways other than in a subdivision.
Okay,
Yes.
tiny homes, short-term rentals, and common driveways. The list continues to grow.
Yes,
That entire list you brought us last meeting.
right.
Yes.
So
About
that's-
county
I'm
property.
sorry, but
Right.
I didn't want to forget.
Okay,
Right.
Yep, that's
Okay.
good. Also, regarding future plans coming before us, 41 East Main Street is being amended, so that will be before us to start on February 11th.
Do we know when we'll get the amended plans from the applicant? You
We
have
them
them?
now.
Yes,
I
we'll
have to,
send
I
them
have
out
to review
tomorrow.
them for completeness.
Yeah.
Please,
Okay.
even if they're incomplete, I'd like to take a look at them so I can start comparing.
Yeah, we
Yeah, no, I
we
just,
have
so
them
I,
upstairs.
so part of the planning board regs, I can't,
Yeah.
Mark has to do the application, make sure it's complete. Once he does that, which he did today,
That'd be
that's when
great.
I send those out, so that'll go out tomorrow.
That'd be
And I
fantastic.
will find the email from Neil Gorman that has all that, and I'll just forward it to you.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Uh,
We hesitated to do that at this
Was
time, it's gonna
everybody at the
change.
table for 41 East Main the last time?
No.
We've
We've got some constitutional
knowledge of this, feel free to reach out and ask.
Yeah, so the number of dwelling units will, we shouldn't get into it too far,
Yeah.
but will remain the same.
Okay.
It's a slightly different configuration of how they're arranged. And because it's in the Aquifer Overlay District, it has to go through Board of Health.
Yes, it did go to Board of Health, now it's gonna come to Planning Board.
I was gonna say, make a comment on that.
Board of Health will not act.
Exactly.
They will not hear it.
Gee, she could read my mind.
I've sat through Neil Gorman coming to
pretty incredible.
the Board of Health for the same thing 2 times prior when they came to here, and they said, we issued one, it's not our, we can't do it.
Yeah.
It's good.
So thank you for coming, but,
Yeah.
Right, well,
so.
It's a conversation I just had.
we will like the plan because there's a lot of attention to the stormwater system, so when you see
What I was
that-
gonna ask about the Board of Health was,
Yeah.
wasn't there a change when we changed the zoning, that the planning board is in fact the agency that
Yes.
oversees the
Yes.
Aquifer Protection
Right.
District?
Yes.
So since this went through, my question involves, well, I could bring it up next week, but since you brought it up here, some of my questions are gonna involve the timing of this versus the approval timing. And you know,
Yeah, I'm looking into that too because of the 2 years thing with the special permit, and it was issued originally under the Board of Health.
right.
Which is not a local granting authority.
But the board, the planning
talk
board
about
has
that
a...
offline, guys.
Yeah, we'll get a full, in my staff report, I'll outline all those
No, thank you.
things. but-
Board of Health is not recognized as granting authority for an application that was made to them anywhere else in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It's really what it comes down to. And that was a shift that was made in the last 3 or 4 years.
Right, but it's not there anymore. It's
I
over-
understand that.
yeah, It's over here now, I think.
It's our court.
Okay, good.
There was a lot of discussion about that
With
before.
recommendation
Right.
from the Board of Health.
Okay?
Yep, so,
Referred to as the local granting authority, and we can talk about that offline.
yep, so the next meeting, we'll have that, we'll have the continuation of the subdivision. We'll also have probably initial review of the subdivision regulations after we get through the cases. And so it'll be a busier meeting than tonight.
It's okay, we deserve a show every now and again. That's it for your announcements?
Yes.
Okay, administrative announcements, old business and new business. Yes, Mr.
Yeah, I have a
Fitz.
question for you, Jeff. I know that in previous meetings, in fact, just a few minutes ago, you mentioned about the 2 issues, tiny houses and short-term rentals.
Yes.
And I was wondering if, in the way you're thinking about how we approach this, will there be any time where we can gather community input? Because I see both of these as particularly sensitive issues that I'm sure that, townspeople have opinions about and would want to weigh in on it. Will we have some ability to accommodate getting that input before we arrive at any kind of findings or recommendations?
To be honest with you, I hadn't thought much farther beyond. I think these are important topics to
Me
take
too.
up. I would hope that we get as much input as we can.
Good.
There's a trend. At least I think there's a trend happening in the world. No longer do people want to build 7, 8, 10,000 square foot homes. I don't want to live in it. I mean,
I don't either.
1,500 square feet, it's a lot of space.
Right.
So looking at doing smaller footprint, more environmentally friendly, if you will. There's a lot of reasons for doing smaller homes. There's a lot of reasons for doing short-term rentals. They both have a affordability component to it. So there's lots of things about it.
Yes, I agree.
And ultimately, the bottom line is, first of all, we turn to the people on the board. By all means, talk to whomever you can find about this, okay? But I don't want to be in a position where the dog's being wagged by the tail and have what happened recently with a short-term rental over on Sandy Pond.
I agree.
Where, unfortunately, a neighbor felt as if they were ganged up on by a lot of upset neighbors. So the reason we have bylaws, the reason we have guidelines, the reason we have rules is just, it's like we have fences. Fences make great neighbors. So that's why we would do it. I would want the process to have as much input as possible. We're going to trip across other things. Our bylaw has a minimum size for a domicile. I believe it's 750 square feet.
Yep.
That exceeds the size of a tiny house.
Right.
And that was done in the past when housing was cheap and lots of people lived in it. So we'll figure it out.
So I just want to say that I agree with what you just said, and it's particularly in light of that incident you referenced that why I think it's really important that we gather community input, because I really want to know what my neighbors think. Are they like the trend to small homes, or what do they feel about this Airbnb? I don't know, I'd like to find out.
I'll be honest with you, I have a feeling it's going to be, use other technologies out there. Fully electric vehicles, all gas vehicles. People plunk down on both sides of that conversation, and it's perfectly fine. The other side about doing short-term rentals and tiny homes is not just in my eyes, our resources. I have a lot next to my house. Happens to be sitting on a pond. What a great place to put a couple tiny homes. Sell it.
Needs to be thought, right?
So we gotta figure it out.
Amen.
Not that I would ever do that, but the next person
It needs to be thought out. very
Yeah,
carefully.
so we think it through in order to best use it. For the same reason the OSRD exists, the subdivision bylaw exists. As we all know, laws and bylaws will constantly go through this process of changing and maturing. Sometimes, 10 years from now, these common driveways may not be necessary because we don't have cars. Who knows? It has to be common pads, whatever they call them exactly. But yes, I would hope that we would do it in such a way that we do reach outs. Formally and informally, Alan Minoyan does the charrettes. He does the Cumbia town planner. We can figure it out.
Okay, good.
Okay?
Thank you.
But yeah, no, in no way, shape, or form do I want I don't even know what we would do at this point, but I do. If we're going to continue to attract young, vibrant people, we need to give them a place to live that they want to live in, and those are the trends that are happening. 18,000 square foot homes with 4 bay garages. My 2 kids don't own a car. Figure it out. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's it, thank you.
Yeah.
Still
Old business.
Old business.
What about 50 or so West Main Street, the vacant lot? Is it also going to go up on the 11th? We talked about that last week.
Was it Park Street? On West Main Street?
No, the Berry development.
Oh.
53, 55, the empty lot next to the old dry cleaner lot.
Well, it's up to them to.
Yeah, that's still just very conceptual.
I sent that information to you so you knew what it was. That's
Right,
basically it.
yeah, that's nowhere near coming before us
No.
right away.
Yeah. Okay. And actually what I wanted you to see was the verbiage in the art. If you see the way the advert works and you read the advertisement, it's basically our form-based code.
Right, yes.
Just said in English.
People are aware of it, so yeah, there's a lot of interest now in the form-based code and working under the form-based code.
That's why I shared it.
So they're all sort of, there are plans in motion, but nothing that is concrete yet.
Is there anything we need to prepare to sharpen our pencil as we come into this new
I think
area?
what I'm doing is I'm rereading the form-based code bylaw several times so I can internalize it. But,
And so
Just reminded me of something.
the long-term goal of the form-based code is it becomes prescriptive. In other words, it's checklist.
Yeah.
And we will be involved in the earlier ones, but unless they're strange, they
Right.
should fit within the guidelines.
Exactly.
Right, but
We'll be aware of them, but
they'll still need site plan.
Yeah, they'll need site plan
review.
and stuff,
And,
but,
and depending on the size of the building, there could potentially be some fairly big buildings with.
they could. But the
So
other side of
we
the
have
coin is
to-
if there's an empty lot between 2 buildings, there's not going to be a great deal of discussion about landscaping, about site lighting and stuff like that.
Right, yes.
Sure.
Because we are looking at so some of the issues we take up
Right.
aren't even part of the conversation.
But percentage of windows on different floors, we'll cover all that.
Yeah, it's going to be much more architectural that we have to be aware of.
Other old business questions, Mr. Disconnect?
Yeah, well, having Mark said that about the form-based code, it reminded me that we had the fall town meeting. Has anyone heard officially that the articles that are in the fall town meeting have been approved by the Attorney General? We keep asking this all the time.
Right.
And the reason I'm mentioning that is because I believe we're in a position now to get a new set of zoning.
Oh, yeah,
So could the
Yeah, we're aware of
town
that,
planner
yeah.
find a way in the office to get us each a copy of assumptions that they're gonna be done.
Right.
So we can have a whole new set with punched holes in it that we can insert in our.
Right. Yeah, I've been working with Alan on that, and we have to get it over the finish line. But,
No,
I'm assuming the Attorney General said had it long enough, so let's find out.
right, but the final ones, I don't think we got a letter back, no.
Okay.
But,
nothing
so,
yet.
not on those, the ones that were most recently passed.
Yeah, okay. It was like October, right?
Right.
But it's good, should be close, but be nice to have that,
We're about
all
90
that stuff new in the book.
We're about 90 days out from then, so it's
Yeah.
we're on the,
Yeah, you know.
we're down near the goal line.
Should be soon.
So,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, thank you. Next is new.
I got one more. Are we in old?
Keep old business, go ahead.
Okay, so this is, I could have brought this up earlier, but in October of 2009, this is again the same exact topic on the conservation restriction. Bear in mind, we have one subdivision that's been approved. So there was a letter that we sent, we were given a copy of in October that asked us to resolve the same question we're talking about tonight, who's gonna own it and so forth, for the first one. So it's still hanging out there.
All right, thank you.
And, you know, that's basically what it amounts to.
Yeah.
They're looking for us to come up, give them an answer on the very first one.
And actually, the proponent asked about this either last meeting or the meeting before, about the letter. And so we will hopefully have a solution.
Yeah, so we're not just thinking about, well, to go backwards
Right.
and say, look, this is what we want you to do with that other one.
Exactly. Okay, new business. I'm going to talk about the elections for a minute. Two of us are up for re-election. Both of us have pulled our nomination papers. All those out in Teagle Land, if you want to sign a nomination paper, be at the transfer station sometime on Saturday. It doesn't snow. But no, so
It's you and Nathan, right?
Nathan and I are up for re-election, and we've both taken nomination papers. So that's that. Don't know if anybody else will step up to join us.
By that, you mean someone running against you?
Yeah, someone running against us.
I wasn't sure.
Mhm. Exactly. I want to take a moment to talk about the MVP, municipal.
Well, I just want to go on record and saying I'd be happy to continue working with both of you, so thank you for pulling
Thank you
papers.
very much. I don't know about how you feel about that, Nathan, but I got to think about it somehow. The Municipal Vulnerability Program, MVP. We talked about it a little bit last week. It's the 2 meetings have taken place. What an eye-opening experience to go and listen and hear folks. And the best part about it was there were, now I can't call myself old guard. I'm more of a wonk. I like to go to these things, but there's a lot of new faces coming to these.
Yeah.
Good group of people, people who've just come to town who are looking to be engaged and get engaged. So it's really interesting
Nice.
that's happening. And you know, I didn't go home and go into the basement and crawl into a dark corner and be scared. There's really a lot going on, and there's a lot of people who do a lot in the background in this town that I don't think we're all aware of
Yeah, great.
on a regular
They're going to
basis.
generate their final report based on our input. I mean,
Right.
there'll be a report come out.
Exactly. So that worked out really well.
I also think that the consultant did a nice job organizing the 2 days. And it could serve as a, you know, I was kind of making mental notes as a model for, that's a good, you know, practices we might learn from or mimic in terms of how you organize people to come up with ideas and then whittle it down to some decisions.
I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't understand the matrices they used.
Which, the matrices?
Were you there at the beginning?
I was there at the beginning, I was there for the first one, and I just took it, I could understand what they were talking about, but I couldn't put it into the 2 dimensions on the piece of paper.
Oh.
But that's okay. Other people in the room figured it out. So, you know, I can't build a bicycle wheel either, but you know, I'll be fine in life.
Different spokes for different folks.
Yeah. Well done, Mr. Kennedy. Yes, well done. You would tell us something.
Yeah, I'll make sure I throw them in.
So, finally, approve the meeting minutes from January 14th. And Jonathan?
Did you get my
I
edits?
did, I got your
email.
edits, and then Ken called, and there was one small one from him, but
And
I'm assuming he cut most of it.
I'm going to ask one more thing because I don't know what Ken sent you, but Mr. Schwallenberger's name is spelled on the wall up there. If we could
Yeah, I
get his
think
name,
that.
if we could get his name correctly, I'd
Yes.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I
And
took
Mr.
it right up from town's website, so if it's if one of them's wrong, that
Yeah.
would be it.
Go to the vote. It'd be nice to get John. I think Marilyn would appreciate it too. John and Marilyn would appreciate it. So,
That's where I got it from.
And Jonathan, thank you, because I actually took a shot at the drafts a couple of times.
And the majority of them were on page 3, if anyone was wondering.
Yeah. And actually, that's where my note is.
Oh, there you go.
And I stopped and I read through yours very quickly. And did the other board members get a chance to see what Mr. Krantz did?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're on the minutes now, so if anyone...
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yeah, oh yeah. The ones that I give you are the ones that are
Very
corrected.
minor. I mean,
Yeah, they're very minor.
I'm talking punctuation marks, or a couple words that just,
When you type
Typos.
7, yeah, you do 7 pages sometimes.
There was...
It just happens.
I did want to make one friendly amendment. Sure.
Yes.
First big paragraph. 7 or 8 lines down, the line ends, town boundary line issue has been. I think the word has been.
Which,
Page 3, I'm sorry.
I know what
okay, I was
you're
like,
talking
that
about.
would be, that's a point of reference to.
Yeah, page 3, I'm sorry.
you know,
said
I went
page-
back and forth with it. Should it be has been or had been? And, oh,
I just want an H before that word.
Oh, no, that's there.
I would just add an H and be done with it.
Okay.
yeah.
It's there now.
It's there.
It's there.
Yeah, it has been.
It's been there
Yeah,
now.
it's there.
I thought it said has been.
Yeah, it has been.
There was another place
This
where
issue has been taken care
AS
of.
really meant was.
Oh, down here. That's
Mr.
right.
Pompillon
Has
stated he
been
met with the
conducted.
town administrator in Harvard, and he asked, but I think you meant he was asked that the planning board take blah, 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 and I put that together.
Oh, okay.
It's the one below, I gave that to you, didn't
Okay,
I?
I'm like, is on the ones you have that I gave you?
It's the old one.
Yeah,
But
no.
I think you corrected it
Yeah,
already.
look at that one.
But I was just speaking to,
Okay. I'm like, I'm not
Checking.
seeing any.
Do you
think
Everything
it's
has,
just-
everything
Yeah,
has.
so did you get that?
I'm going to point to it on...
yeah, go ahead, go
Yeah.
show
Yeah,
it to
I'm like,
to
just
the
put it
other.
on here and then I'll fix it. Oh, there it is, got it, thank you. I should
That's all.
put
All
it line these.
It actually makes, it changes the meaning of the sentence dramatically.
Oh, yeah.
So are you
Again, my
looking for a
sister's the
motion?
English teacher, not my.
I'm gonna do, if you don't mind.
Just make some changes on that one, right? And then you sign it.
You just, yeah, it's on the last page.
The one that,
Has the signature on it.
It has your
Yeah, I don't know
colored
where it is
paper
right
clip.
so, anyway, this is the one I was marking up.
Yeah, the
Over
one with
lunch
your
today.
colored paper
I got
clip
a
is the one you need
clean
to sign.
signature block if you want.
His paper
So,
clip is colored.
if you don't mind, let me just want to, I think that was basically it.
Okay.
And I laughed at this, and don't take this the wrong way. Review A&R for West Main Street, and no one was present. Thank you for fixing, I couldn't come up with the right way of fixing that, but thank you for fixing that. Okay. Accept a motion? If there are no other changes?
I make a motion, we accept approve the meeting minutes with the changes as discussed for the meeting January 14th, 2020.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye, aye, aye.
Cool.
Do we want to show the flag?
The heck?
I'm sorry. You can keep going.
That's okay.
All right. Wow.
Whoa. Wow.
It's pretty awesome, but
Mr.
Impressive.
Customer, you please approach the table and tell us what's going on.
Well, I sort of made this all out of recycling that got put on a table and it floats.
Fantastic.
Thank you,
Good night,
Scott.
guys. With that, if there's no other business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
bye.
Thank you.
We got papers.